going to do two things. This is for my black belts or any high ranks that want to do some advanced, I call them advanced routines, or just katas or routines that I put together to help practice some things that we don't get to drill enough. And starting with Dachis or stances, I'm going to do a traditional stance routine, but what I'm adding is 2 extra stances that we need to use because we use them all the time. We use boxing stances and then like a point fighting stance. So this is the Dachi routine plus 2 traditional. Start Masubi, right? Left foot to Fudo. Left foot to Nami. Right foot back to Zenkutsu. Left foot out to Shiko. Heels into his out. Kiba. Neko. I'm not going to teach these. This is just to give you a routine for the people that already know their stuff. To work out together. It's part of my series. I'm doing just 15-minute routine workouts. Okay, next one is, usually we go stances and blocks. This routine, I call it the PBJ. Parries, blocks, and jams. So it's not your traditional 7 blocks that we do in routines and teach beginners and their traditional karate. These are blocks, parries, jams, evasive things, how not to get hit. So basically there's 3 styles you can fight. You can be a blocker, a runner, or a jammer. If you can run, I can't run like this, move around as quick as I used to. So I'm getting better at blocking and jamming because I do a lot of hanging out and staying still. So we're going to go through that same routine, and I'm going to put one of these with each one, and you can practice them. It's not a perfect 6 low, 4 fast type routine. It's work on it while you're there, move to the next thing, kind of like shadow boxing. This is for you to use as kind of an outline for your home drills and routines for workout in the morning. And one thing I'm going to do is call these, when I say kata, routine kata is kind of depends on what the bunkai, if it actually is self-defense, whatever. But one thing stuck because we always know katas in the old days, right? Just a few to know what we're talking about. And after 40 years of having debates with Dan Kennedy, one of his black belts, Michael Kofer, there's a Facebook thread about this, got to me because he said katas are just storytelling. Well, we tell a lot of stories. So I'm putting these, this is my how not to get hit kata with a story for each one, just for fun. And because we do have a good tradition, the Bushido Khan guys, American Karate, all the Kansas City guys, a lot of great fighters out of this area, focusing mainly on the battle of the bad guys. I want to honor them a little bit today. Okay, so Masubi, ready. Okay, this is usually not a fighting stance. So this stance is what if you do get hit. You get hit with a sucker punch. Boom. Okay. I'm naming this, dedicating it to George Clark. You want to be able to take a punch. You don't want to get hit, but learning how to keep your tongue back, your jaw tight, and make your neck strong, like the chin push-ups that Ray McCallum posts, and then wrestler bridge. Having a strong neck and a tough jaw, you're like George, somebody punches you and you go, what's the problem? All of a sudden, that's all over. I don't want you to get hit, but you do need to learn how to get hit a little bit. I used to spar Jeff Payne until I got so tired I couldn't block. I learned just to lean my head as his right hand was coming in and would slide down instead of knock my head in a circle. Just little things that we've learned from years of sparring thousands of rounds I want to pass on. So how to get hit, number 1, you are going to get hit. So turn so you don't get your nose hit, jaw tight, tongue back, move with it if you have to, but strong neck is one of the best things to keep from getting hurt by a punch. Okay, if you get to where, like Bob Thurman could just shrug his way right through most people's punches and then make them pay for it. Okay, see? So that was what if you do get hit. Fudo. Okay, on this one, parries are just being cool. So Bruce Lee has a really good part about parries in his book, but just real simple. Let's say if I'm boxing or kickboxing, just straight ahead. The idea of a parry is I intercept their technique. I'm not trying to stop them. I'm just redirecting them, and I'm just being cool and laid back, make a miss. Okay, I will call this the mongoose because you just move like Kevin Hillhouse. You make that cobra. They strike, they miss. They strike, they miss. Like, what were you looking for? Miss me? Boom. I like Kevin's attitude and his style because he's just such a laid-back person, but such a good guy. And amazingly tough. Good fighter. Okay. Number 3, Nami, I'm in a boxing stance. Okay, on this one, I'm naming after Mark Payne because he would have just not like to give up ground. He'd be moving, but just bam. You throw a jab, catch it. And Jeff did this a lot too. But catching it, and the thing I'm kind of dedicating this to Mark, if somebody does a jab, I'm watching, I just parry it. I can counter with that front hand or something else. But what Mark was so smart about was such the geometry and science of the physics of a technique. So if I'm doing this from the side, if I put my hand like this and catch a jab, they're really strong, it'll power through. So the trick is, as I catch it, I can lift my elbow just slightly and it'll slide down. And I just, Mark never taught me this, I watched him. That's how I got all these little things. So if I parry, if I just catch a jab or catch a good strike, maybe even a cross, and I'm not that strong, it might bounce into me or go through me. But if you're not that strong, or they're hitting really hard, I just lift my elbow and I'll slide. If they're hitting really hard, boom, and then I can go right over the top. And Billy Mackey used to have a good move with that. Okay, so Nami is catch. Okay, Zenkutsu. This one, I'm mainly using Bushido-kan guys, but one time I was just recently talking about people we need to honor in all our influences. And so in Zenkutsu, I'm right here. Somebody's trying to throw a right cross or big haymaker at me. Instead of doing, traditional, I just put up the wall. Shrug the shoulder, put up the wall. Now, has anybody ever heard somebody use that term? Lift the wall, bam. Okay, so that's my story for this is John Brown, because a lot of us were really good at kickboxing because the Turner Boxing Club, not Turner, it was Tomahawk Boxing Club that we got to go to back in the 70s, that we learned how to use our hands before the other karate guys. So we had a jump start on them, and we need to thank him and Dave Kennedy. So put up the wall. So I'm just pantomiming. Somebody's doing like a hard cross or hook. The thing I teach on kids and put up the wall is like here, and then that shrug my shoulder, just an inch, if they've got a lot of power. And I keep my jaw tight and chin in. I always want to be a little bit crouched in. So if I get hit, I've got room to move with it. I don't want to be straight up here. And if I get hit, nap time. Okay, so room to move it. So I'm putting up the wall. If I step in, jam it a little bit, that's even better. Okay. So we're doing our stances. Shiko. And this is another version of the wall, but I'm naming this for Ronnie Shalene because Jeff Payne used to just pound me with hooks. And I knew how to keep my hands up because I was a point fighter. But in kickboxing, those big heavy gloves on and Jeff hitting like a mini Oak Tree Edwards, bam. I remember hitting, gloves not padded here. My own hand was beating my brains in. And Ronnie taught me one day, lift your elbow like you're laying down on your pillow, your arm's a pillow. Tuck your chin in and jam in. So somebody's throwing a hook. And then I kind of look right through my eyebrows. Don't ever duck down where you can't see. Bam, but I'm blocking a hook. Just doing like a pillow. The Shalene. Okay, Kiva. Now I'm not doing the stances perfect, but you guys know your routine. So we've done, these are kind of like we've worked against a jab, a cross, hook. Uppercuts, man, they're dangerous. Mike Roth used to have uppercut, would do you like the rock'em sock'em robot if you hit you. So here is just, Kenny Norton made this kind of famous. I just slip my arm and I just put it at an angle. Okay. So when I'm going in tight, like when I jam to get in underneath somebody, slipping punches, I'm trying to go and work the body. A lot of times I'll go to that cross cover because then if they just throw a hook, which is a smart thing if I'm getting close, it'll slide off and it'll miss. If your hands are up and down here, they can get in between them and pop you. Okay, so I'm keep it. I'll work on that. Then I go to Neko. Okay, now this one is a little more, Mr. Harrison showed us, if somebody's trying to do low kicks and curl your toes and just hooking and jamming like a Muay Thai guy, trying to hook their leg and then catch them. And the great thing he always did was he made somebody pay and then go in, take them down, throw them or whatever. But just the jam and anything you could do against a low kick, you can either try and hook them or you go here so it slides down, deflect it. And I don't stand here and remain target. I'm trying to jam in if I can. And lift up my knee. I did this, maybe jam in, get inside on them where it's not at the end of their power. So Neko, and this one, I've got other ones for Mr. Harrison, of course, but I remember the first time I was working low kicks and he showed me that. That helped a lot. I still hate low kicks. I'd just rather kick them in the groin if they're doing that. Okay, now we're going to, those are the 7 traditional stances in this routine. I'm adding on boxing stance and the Bruce Lee stance. So boxing stance, Jeff Payne, like I said, I sparred with him a bunch, and he was getting ready to fight one of the Carnahan, Norbloom, Longstreet, one of those super kickers from Minnesota. Okay, boxing stance. So I go from Neko. When I do this routine, I go from Neko, I go to my boxing stance, kind of like a reverse Neko. My back heel's off the ground. So I go from all the way on the back. Not really that's all on the front, but it's a little bit more aggressive forward boxing stance like the Jeff Payne version. Okay, Jeff always looked like a bull getting ready to charge me, he's going on this. And what he would do is, bam, drop those elbows, and he'd put his arms together like a shield. So right there, he just kind of made a shield against, if it was a round kick, front kick, side kick. The only problem, you know, we're talking about kickboxing in this, where you can't get your hands down. We'll work on that later. But he was so strong, and he got so good at jamming that I could just side kick him all day. I used to have pretty good side kick. He'd get in there and block it before I could even fire it. He would jam it and get in there and put his arms up and practice. So these are things that I always do, shadow boxing and bag work. I'm always imagining the other guys throwing a bam, side kick, front kick, round kick, whatever I'm going to do. As my offense, I've got to be thinking defense, and that's why I like these routines. So boxing and a shield. Okay, now the Bruce Lee stance. He called it the small facing bent knee stance. You can read that in Dachi, you know. A little bit kind of like I'm getting ready to run a race. Turn my heels and toes a little bit, so I'm about 75-degree angle. My front hand's down, my back hand's up. And he had his 8 parries from here, you know, all the different parries, and it's a great drill to practice. It's in his book. Bam. Your elbows are basically stay in one place while your hands block everything. So in this one, I'm doing this Steve Mackey. Steve Mackey had a thing he did, and he would just test himself, tell us what he's doing, and then he'd go out there. He'd get in a stance, and his right arm would be like arm of steel, straight up and down. And he would spar with somebody just moving around and do nothing but twist and move his body. His arms wouldn't move, and he could block about everything. And what he was doing was trying to make you work hard enough to make him actually have to move to block what you're throwing. But he was so good, he could just kind of use that like a shield, but using his hips and keeping this arm straight up and down, bam. But what I liked about it, first, you always have your hand up so you don't get hit with the Oaktree Edwards left hook, but your arm's already to fire. So he just focused on this right arm is straight up and down, ready to go at any time. So he wouldn't let himself move his hands a bunch blocking. So anytime they were open, bam, he was ready to score with his right hand. So just like a shield or a force field there. So the arm of steel, straight up and down like a pole. New guys sparring will get their hands up, elbows out, leaning. You want to learn to make them go straight up and down in every angle. They won't get tired as fast. Okay, so that was the Bruce Lee one. Now I'm going to go through these stances backwards. I changed the other side. Okay, and I can do some footwork drills. So these routines aren't locked in stone like a kata. You can move around, be flexible a little bit. They're a teaching technique. I want you to think of them as an outline, not every sentence and word and dot, tittle, whatever. On this one, I'm the Bruce Lee stance on the other side. I'm going to name this one after Bruce Lee because it's the parry where I move back and then come back in. So it's good footwork, like fencing, like a reprise, but my hands are here. Somebody's going to kick. Instead of staying and being a target and having to do a hard style block, I'm just going to do like a heavy hand parry or sweep and knock it straight down. I can come up over the top or come in and kick like he did a lot of times. So when somebody kicks, I can block, run, or jam. This one's run, and then come back. If you just stand still, it's block, or we'll work on jams in a minute. So just get out of the way, and then come back with whatever's open. Now back to boxing. Okay, the best, from this stance, back to boxing. Okay, the best boxing is to keep your guns loaded and not have to block or parry. And one of the best people did this was Bob Thurman, world champ. I think Bob had like 60 boxing fights before he did kickboxing. And he was just so good at right here, slipping and bobbing and weaving. So I'm slipping, I can bob and weave side to side. And a good drill that I learned that helps you to think about slipping is pretend there's a floating X in front of your chin. And every time you slip, you put your head in one of those 4 quadrants. So those are there. Bam, bam. So that's what I'm thinking about. Moving my head in those 4 corners, different directions. So this isn't a kata, it's kind of a routine working thing, but bam. So I've got a little pole in front of me on the mirror, things to practice moving your head. So if there's 4 squares and I'm going to attack, and I'm in a different one each time, I have a 3 out of 4 chance of not even getting hit if I just move my head good. And Thurman was so good at doing that and getting in and be able to pound on people. Okay. My battery's running low. We got to finish this. Back to Neko, Katsu. Okay, this is against Steve Katsu. The only way I could get on side kick is jam with the front leg, close the gap. Any way you can use your shin to jam is what I'd work on from that stance, even if it's a cross or roundhouse kick or different angles. Okay, then Kiba. This one is Kung Tran is fast enough, or Ron Dotson Jr., but basically leg checks. Any leg check, you're fighting sideways, somebody's starting to kick, and I'm putting my foot on their leg or kicking them low, but mainly I'm just checking. So as they start to go up, they feel that leg on there, and you're just going like, oh, where are you going? Messing with them. Then when they reach out their hand, you kick them in the face. Those guys can, they're fast enough. But leg checks are a great harassment, blocking, trapping technique. Okay, Shiko. This is point fighting, the Bruce Lee one, with hit the hands low so that I can block, parry, and protect my groin. Or I just figure they're going to try and kick me in the groin. You're fighting Bob Edwards, or you are Bob Edwards, and he would just have his hand here, or he'd just hang on to his junk because he was always taking yours out. He was so fast that front leg kick to the groin, bam. But his secret was you can have a great offense when you have an excellent defense. You're not afraid to jam and attack if you know that your hands are up and you're protecting your groin. You can attack with confidence because they're not going to counter you. So that's my block is they're trying to hit you in the groin, just hang on to your jump. Make your own cup with your hand, and that's the only way. If you're really going to be a good kicker and high kicker or kick to the groin, they're going to try and get you. You got to be able to protect your groin as you attack. Okay, back to Zen. So go Shiko, 5 Zen. Okay, this one I'm naming after Ray Patton, but he's just because his general style is like Jerry Yost, guys that can move fast. Now Zen Kutsu is not a good stance for moving, but to fit it in, this is basically low parries. If somebody's kicking, I'll do a low parry, and as I do it, I'll be moving and making them miss and whatever. But you've got guys that are fast on their feet that goes with parries. I don't just move to move. I move with the parry. Not that we all fight in Zenkutsu, but just making the routine so it fits to do your drills. So when I parry low, my other hand has to protect. Okay, back to Nami. This is a normal stance. For this one, I just like to practice. Go ahead and pretend I'm moving around, circle each way, and float like a butterfly. Pretend you're Jerry Yost. Flee. Keep moving. You can do it out of both sides. You can, like I said, this is just an outline, so you can change the rules. You can change sides. You can practice moving forward, backward. But the way Jerry practiced this was he'd put on music and get in the ring and just dance. It was annoying, but it worked. It was really hard to catch him. You had to map out the trajectory and geometry to get him in the corner. When you did, it was fun. Okay, so from Nami, back up to Fudo. This one is, I should have done Nami, but Mr. Harrison taught me this once. I was sparring at the old Shawnee dojo, and I was just practicing kind of the shell, which, you know, a Thurman used to use. Where I just get my elbows up, hands in. I'm coming in, and letting the guy throw his stuff so I can close the gap. And he said, well, if you ever get hurt or you can't see something gets your eye, you don't even have to see it, but you feel your way. I've got my shell. Whatever side they hit, I answer back with a hook right away. And I had a fight against Clarence Franklin. He just was beating me. He tuned me up. He'd already beat me like 6-1 in the point tournament a couple of weeks before, and then I had to fight him at Morrill Hall. He splattered me up. Steve Mackey was laughing at me. I was so bloody. But he was trying to finish me off, and I remembered that, and I just stepped in. Wham! I hooked him, and I got him, and that won the fight for me, saved my neck. But I didn't even see it. I just felt and came back. So I'm in my turtle shell. I come back. So my batteries are low. I've had to make sure I rush through them a little bit, and I'm trying to keep these to 15-minute segments for the black belts for your morning workouts. Okay, the Musubi. The last one is named for Mike Roth, my baby brother, baby bird. After a demo, guy came up to him and says, what would you do if I did this? And Mike goes, nah, nah, nah. And the guy said, I don't think that would work. So that's one of the best defenses is to be a great guy with a great sense of humor and be so cool like Mike Roth. Nobody ever wants to punch you. So you're just doing this stuff for fun. All right, Kisuke, great. So I call that the PBJ, Parries, blocks, jams, different ways to not get hit and a little less traditional. So you can fill in other stuff, but I really like what Mr. Kofer said, you know, that kata is telling stories. So there's a story behind every kata. I might as well tell it with the routines, but these are different ways you can practice and add it to your home workouts. So I will put this on Black Belt Club. Comment, let me know if you tried it. And don't forget, be a black belt character. Best place is the Book of Proverbs. Today is the 27th, and I think it's 27:17 is like iron on iron, one man sharpens another. So that's what a real brother, sister, dojo mate does, encourage and sharpen each other. And I think when we look back at the stories, people like Sean Harrison, who would always have something to say to encourage you. You know, he's like Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. And to make you feel better and make you feel like you knew anything. We had ridiculous success in the 70s, early 80s. And a lot of it was just that. The way guys encouraged each other and kept each other sharp and made each other want to do better and better things. 200 national championships out of one little dojo. That's quite a legacy. Mr. Harrison started it. Mark Payne, Steve Mackey kept going. Kotcher Stillwell, some of the other guys. And now I know it's branched out in different styles. You got guys Tom Athens and Brent Anderson and Sakura, Kid Yukon, lots of different styles. Dotsons, Kellys, Santiago. It's all one brotherhood. I call Bushido Kai. Way of warrior of life.